right, everybody, welcome into Average Joe Sports Talk. This is our weekly high school football preview / review show. As always, I got my man Jay in to my left, Mr. Reginald Davis over there, and Dave is he's our expert. He's our X's and O's guy.
Definitely.
Whenever I start stuttering and it's time to move on, I just say, "Hey, Dave, what do you think about that?" So David has been killing it so far. This week we're going to lead off with Etowah. Etowah coming off of a very big win last week at Moody. Showed out. I actually called the dogs off about halfway through the second quarter. Jay was in attendance at that game. Jay is actually keeping stats for Etowah. Tell me what you seen last week out of Etowah.
Pretty much domination. Pretty much. They didn't miss a beat from the Gadsden City win. I was worried that they would have a little bit of a hangover, but that wasn't the case. They scored, I believe, 21 points in the first quarter, and then they had 36 at half, and then they called off the dogs after halftime. Brady Troop looked good. Nana, Trent Davis both looked good. Coach Holiday kept it simple. They didn't show too much. Pretty much what they did against Gadsden City, kept it simple, basic, and all that. Defense looked good.
They're showing out this year. I mean, their defense, considering they lost, 9 starters?
They lost a pretty good bit.
8 starters?
The one thing that I was glad is they got a lot of the young guys in. The young guys got a lot of playing time in the second half, a lot of experience. Because maybe down the road, come playoff time, you're gonna need those bodies. Mm-hmm. So, anytime you have a chance to get those guys in, get them experience and get them matured, because down the road you may need them. But overall, it all looked good, and they got Crossville this week. Crossville, I don't know about Crossville. I haven't seen any film or anything on them.
Crossville's struggling pretty bad out of the gate. They've taken 2 pretty big losses, but to me, it's one of those classic games where you got to remain focused if you're Etowah.
It's the region opener. It's their first region game, and
that's enough to keep you focused right there.
And it's the home opener, so this is Etowah's first home game. So
that's huge.
It's going to be pretty big.
Crossville's had 2 pretty bad losses, and coming into this game, they're definitely going to look to rebound. But like you said, their coach is telling them that the next game up is the most important game of the year because it's region play, and then they get a chance to go play Etowah at Etowah. Huge stage for them. They're going to play it like the Super Bowl, I guarantee it. Thing for Etowah is maintain focus, keep doing what you're doing.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, stay healthy. Defense, man, I'm very impressed from that defense. That one will be at Jim Glover Field, 7 o'clock Friday night. Should be a pretty packed house considering it's going to be the home opener, don't you think?
Oh yeah, home opener definitely.
In talking to Coach Holiday, what's his feel of the team so far? I know he don't give away a whole lot of info, but I mean, from you being around him, what is his feel since he's been at Etowah for 2 weeks now?
Execute. He just you do one thing good, but he wants everything else to be the way you've done it, but better. Like he wants to move on to the next thing. It's not he don't stay on like Gadsden City. He was already moved on Saturday. He was already focused on Moody. So he just wants to execute, and he wants everything to be sharp, no mistakes, laser sharp focus, and that's about it right there.
I like it. Reggie, let's move on to Gadsden City. Gadsden City had another tough loss. It had a lot of starters out. Dericki was still out. DeMarcus Macon was still out. Then Trey Blunt was out. And then you go on the road and play Oxford, a highly ranked 6A team with 3 or 4 Division I players on that squad and a loaded roster. I'll let you talk about Gadsden City for a little bit.
Going into that game, Oxford is a tough game every year for Gadsden City. It's basically another rivalry game. Both schools are about 30 minutes apart from each other. This Gadsden City basically went in banged up this, in that game because they had several guys get hurt in that first game against Etowah. But moving on, we got region play starting this week. These are the games that count.
Sparkman going to Sparkman.
Yeah, they're going to Sparkman this week. Open up region play. Sparkman has improved a lot over the last couple of years. It's not going to be one of those 63-0 blowouts at Gadsden City usually. It's going to be a good game. They've got athletes on both sides of the ball. But
they beat Hazel Green 48-18, something like that.
48-14. Yeah, they did.
And that's because a lot of those dudes that played on their basketball team play football
too. Yeah. So Sparkman is not the Sparkman of old. Like I said, so it's gonna be a challenging game as well. But like I said, these are the games that count. And these are the games you got to get up for this week and try to rebound, get past those first 2 losses. Because from here on out, you got to stay focused and win those region games.
Wednesday night, Chick-fil-A here in Gadsden, the one outside the mall on 4th Street, will be our first ever Ollie Smith show, Coach Ollie Smith show that we're going to be filming at Chick-fil-A. We want everybody in the city of Gadsden to come out and support. The proceeds go to Gadsden City High School. Also, we're very excited to announce that we're inviting everybody from cheerleaders to band, fans, players, parents. We want everybody out there. Everybody come out and support.
Yep.
It's easy to pull for teams when they're winning. When a team's down a little bit, that's when they need your support. So please come out, show out,
Exactly.
support. Gadsden City as a whole and Coach Ollie Smith, so we can get this thing turned around.
Yes.
No better time to do it. And when you're 0-2 and you start region play, and I'm going to throw this one to David for a minute. David, when you're 0-2 in a situation like this, what are some of the things that you're going to be saying and coaching on and to try to get this ship right?
Well, in Gadsden City's case right here, the thing you've got to focus on is put these 2 losses behind you. They don't mean anything from here out. You haven't started region play. This starts region play right here. So your true season starts right now. Your goal at the beginning of every season is playoffs. That's your goal right there. And the out-of-region games, those are kind of tune-ups, you're never going to say that you don't want to win a game, but these are times where you get to get your, new coach, new staff. This is the way to get your offensive philosophy in play, your defense set up. You're finding out which players can play, which players can't. Even though Coach Smith knows these players, he's getting to get game looks right here. And, like we said, just put those 2 losses behind you and focus on region play now. Get everything situated, get all the stuff that you've seen 2 games worth of film now. Exactly. You know who's doing what. You know where they're at. Injuries sounds like that's an issue. So if injuries are the issue, then you've got a week right now to get those backups in order and get them ready to go, and hopefully a couple of guys healed up.
Hopefully, getting those guys back too with DeMarcus.
I think DeRicky's scheduled to come back this week, and
he
DeMarcus.
is.
So that's going to be huge. And Trey, yeah. So this is going to be huge having those guys back because they're definitely playmakers and. It'll
be a different look.
It will be.
And just that's a huge pickup to the entire team. When you've been dealing with guys and you're not putting your best team out there, to get a few guys back and have that boost in depth and in talent right there, that's a huge boost to everybody on the team, and that's gonna make everybody have a rallying cry going in this week.
Exactly. And one more thing too, another thing they're about to do is block out the negative talk on social media. There's a lot that's been going on, but just block that out and just keep moving on.
Who cares, man? That's what I'm saying. Like, who cares, dude? Like, unless you're in that locker room, unless you ran those bleachers, unless you was out there in that sun where we seen them running over the summer, it don't matter what anybody says.
Exactly.
If you wasn't out there with them, I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
If you were out there with them, then you can talk a little bit.
Yeah, but you wasn't, so.
Yeah. And I seen those bleachers, and they were pretty empty when I was out there running. It was 100 degrees. Let's move on to Hokes Bluff. Hokes Bluff plays White Plains this week. The FNN Team of the Year, White Plains. So Hokes Bluff with a huge win over Southside, 21-0 last Thursday night. Shout out to Ashton Gullich, who is our Average Joe Sports Talk Player of the Week. Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Everybody come out from Hokes Bluff. We're going to be doing a tribute to John Morgan, and that's going to be pretty huge. John Morgan Rogers that actually passed away before the season started. We're going to be doing a tribute for him as well as the Player of the Week for Ashton Gullich. Darian Meads had an outstanding game as well. Darian Meads, I think he ended up with what, Dale? 197 yards in a very gritty, tough, physical football game. Ashton played very well. Ashton was hurt, banged up. At halftime, we went in and sat in with the team, and Ashton had his pads off, overheating. They were trying to get liquids in him, and then he came back out and played like a warrior again in the second half. And David, you was there. Talk about that game a little bit. What you seen?
Oh, it is at the Gridiron.
It is at the Gridiron, yes, absolutely. Yes, the Player of the Week will be at the Gridiron at 6 p.m.
Darren Mead, what can you say about Darren? Fighting through injuries, having a turf toe and having that kind of injury, what can you say about fighting through that and just battling? And the kid's a warrior. And, this is my first opportunity to see Ashton play. And the kid, I'm telling you what, talk about a warrior again, man. That kid can play. He's a, he's a Johnny Manziel type. He's a scrambler. He'll get in there. He's a warrior. I was very impressed with him. Not only his scrambling ability, but once again, what I always preach on with quarterbacks is keeping your eyes downfield when you're scrambling. And a lot of times I would see him use ball fakes, use pump fakes to get himself open, and he's keeping his eyes on the field, watching the receivers downfield. And a lot of times in scramble plays like that, when you've got the ability to scramble sideline to sideline, you're opening up stuff downfield, and those defensive backs, safeties, they're getting out of position. It's a way to open things up. So with that type, when you got a power back like Meads, and you've got a scrambler like Gullidge out there running around, it's a dangerous offense to deal with. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I'll say is the game was 21-0. Southside had a good defense. I was watching Southside. Mm-hmm. Southside has a stout defense out there, and 21-0. You know, people are looking at Southside. People may not respect Southside. Southside's defense was there to play, and the fact that they were able to go out there and run like this with injuries on their team, that's impressive.
I agree. Reggie, from a standpoint of to get that kind of win at home versus a 5A team, you know, they're actually a 5A team and a pretty solid region. From a confidence standpoint, what do you think that looks like for Hokes Bluff moving forward? To shut them out, actually.
That should be a huge confidence booster going into region play, because I feel like Hokes Bluff has a lot to prove from the way their season ended last year. So I really think that was a huge confidence booster for them, and it was a great win to start the season and going into region play.
I agree. So again, 1-1 White Plains versus 2-0 Hokes Bluff, which very excited about this game. I definitely want to see this game for multiple reasons.
I want to see White Plains. I want to see what they're all about.
F&M features some pretty good bits, so we want to see what they're all about. Again, 6 o'clock Tuesday, which would be when this video drops in the morning, so it'll probably be tonight when you watch this video. 6 o'clock, Ashton Gullidge, John Morgan Rogers tribute as well. So you guys please come out and support that. Support Ashton and local athlete, even if you're not a fan of Hokes Bluff. All right, we're going to move on. All right, our next game is going to feature Fyffe Red Devils, number 1 ranked 2A Fyffe Red Devils, coming off a massive win on the road at Geraldine, 28-0 over. And I mean, people at Geraldine even says probably going to be one of their best teams in the last 20 years. They're going to go on the road to open region play at section. Stoner, do you want to talk about the offense or the defense first, brother?
I'll go offense.
All right, you go ahead. Talk about what you've seen offensively from Fyffe last week.
It's same old same, man. Like, we're nitty gritty. We're gonna pound it, and you might stop us the first half, but it's gonna look the exact same the second half.
I like it.
We're not gonna slow down. So,
I like it.
I mean,
Actually had some cramps though.
Yeah, we did. We had a couple people cramp up. It was a little hot, a little humid. First start of the season, everybody's got to get picked up at the game speed. You know, it's a little different, but I mean, Pyron,
he looked.
that dude.
Pyron, you know, he looks like a totally different player. It's not that he wasn't a good player last year. This year, he looks like he's developed into a leader.
That just shows you how much 1 year of experience with Sheffield can change you. Especially, I mean, we played 15 games last year. That's a lot. That's a lot of games.
A lot of reps.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, him, like you said, he's starting to show his little bit of leadership he's got, and that's helping a lot. Then we've got a lot of different back setups. You see, like, we got Ickrell starting at running back, and then he's shifty and quick kind of guy. Then Kyle Dukes will go from tight end to running back, and he's a powerhouse. So they're just going to run it down your throat. So
and then Malachi comes
in.
Malachi's a good football player, dude.
That dude
He is a solid football
player.
player. All the way around. I'm really excited to watch him, you know, get some praise because he does a lot of the intangibles behind the scene, which is, you know, he's a very good football player.
You need somebody to do the job. That dude can do it.
Oh yeah, and then he'll help you up.
Exactly.
After he knocks you out, then he'll help you up. No matter. That might be the most demoralizing part of this thing. Is he'll help you up after.
Yeah.
All right, let's slide over. And by the way, welcome back, Mr. Garrett Thrash.
Thanks,
How you doing, brother? Mr. Garrett Thrash, talk to me about that defense. Now going into that game, Geraldine just come off of a 49-point effort the week before.
Yes, sir. I mean,
Let's hear it.
the defensive ends is, I mean, they're going to have to step up as the next few weeks. I mean, they were real young. The middle's what really, the middle of you have, 270-pound Devan Smith and 270-pound Caleb Lyle stuffing up the middle. So, I mean, can't run nothing when you got those guys in the middle.
That's true.
It's just, we got Junior Jacob Mitchell on the end, and you're throwing in Dukes and Benefield trying to throw them in at linebacker and in. If they have any injuries this year, it's over with. Because we ain't got the team last year. We suffered 3 injuries in the second round, and still had a team to play with going through the third and fourth.
A state competing.
Right. And
The word of the day is stay healthy.
that's right. I mean, we've already got 2. Zach Pyron played with turf toe this past game, and then Lyles, he called it today during workouts. He got hurt, and I mean they're still playing, but there's just, if anything like that just keeps happening, it's going to be rough on them.
Dukes moved over and played some defensive end.
He did.
He was effective some in the first
He
half,
was.
disrupting people.
We had him at nose guard too, and that was, I mean, he was
Just put him out
in
there.
there. Yeah, just having him out there.
Just let him off the chain.
Right.
Turn him loose.
Yeah.
And then, you go from those 2 big defensive tackles I was talking about earlier to putting number 20 Will Stevens in there, a little sophomore. He's quick and shifty, running all around you. You can't do something when you're switching up like that.
Right.
But and then we had about the beginning of the third quarter, we had Benefield and Dukes catching cramps, and that hurt us more than anything because we couldn't get in our 3-3-5 defense. We had to stay in the 4-2, and the 3-3-5s is what ended up stopping them in the first quarter. So ain't what much we could do about that.
Yeah, because it seemed like they were throwing the flats. Throwing the flats. That 3-3-5
Right.
was usually
It was. And then we got
to credit to their receiving cores. There was a couple times that Ike and Malachi come up and annihilated people, and they still caught the ball.
Yeah.
number 37 they got, so he's a hoss.
Yeah.
That's a solid guy right there.
And then like Malachi played great. He played. That's one of the best games I've ever seen anybody play.
Both sides. He
Blocked.
Yeah, both sides.
He blocked very well, and actually had a couple carries.
And Mitchell, he's Jacob Mitchell. He's his first year playing. He's just gonna have to get used to the game speed, and I feel like after a few weeks he'll be doing all right.
So you've checked section out a little bit. Talk about section.
They got a new coach coming. They've changed the offense again. Went from a wing tee to kind of a more of a spread type deal. It's first region game, so you're gonna have to take them serious no matter what. But they're a struggling team. And
They got beat by New Hope last week.
27-0, yes sir.
Yeah, they but hosting Fyffe. I mean, it don't matter who you play. You go on the road and you're Fyffe, you're getting their best shot.
That's right. You can't expect nothing less than the best when you're playing for Fyffe, because that's you're circled on everybody's calendar at the beginning of the year.
And then you never know, a turnover or two, or
That's right.
something.
Anything can happen. That's right. Especially with a freshman center coming in and playing.
That's true. That's true.
He did a great job the other night too. Jake Wooden did.
He's got a pretty good looking number on him too.
That's right. That's right.
All right, man. We're going to move on over to Collinsville now. Collinsville coming off another big win. They beat 5A Crossville 40-13. They're rolling. They beat Plainview 50-6, I believe, first week.
Yep.
So in 2 games, they put up 90 points and given up 19. So they're on a roll. 19 of 22 starters back. Caleb Jones again had, I think, 100 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, and like 4 or 5 TDs again. They're starting to roll. A little bit tougher opponent this week for sure. They're playing North Sand Mountain.
That'd be a good game.
And y'all know about North Sand
yeah.
Mountain.
That's a good
Why
team.
don't y'all talk about North Sand Mountain for a minute?
Man, Landon Green, that kid's legit.
That's their quarterback, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is everywhere.
He's an athlete.
He's everywhere and nowhere at the exact same time. It's like a little mini Johnny Manziel running around. Yeah.
That sounds like me when I clock into work.
Yeah, they have a really good offense. They run the spread very, very well. Their receivers, they got some hands. They're pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
They had a couple. They lost a couple last year. The seniors that
3-0.
graduated.
If you two guys had to say a combined point scored in this game between Collinsville and North Sand Mountain, what would you think that combined score would be?
It's gonna be up
80.
It's gonna be up there.
It's going to be
up
42,
there.
35, 49, 42 type of game.
It's gonna be close, but very
Now
high
we
score.
say that, but last year I think the score was 17-10. Maybe it was a really low.
Was that the game that Collinsville had 5 turnovers or something?
Something.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah,
that's right.
It
And they
was.
had some bad calls. Do you
It
remember
was.
Caleb talking about that on it?
I think they kicked like 4 field goals that game or
Yeah.
something like that.
They said they had like 4 or 5 turnovers, some very, very questionable
It
calls,
was,
and they
yeah.
still scrapped one out. Yeah, you're right. It was low
Yeah, it
scoring.
was really low scoring.
But now I think both of these two
Oh,
teams
yeah.
is going to be.
It just
That's two.
And this
great
one's coming too,
offenses.
Colin. No. They're going to North Sand Mountain this year, I believe.
it was at North Sand Mountain last year.
It was?
Yeah, it's at
And that-
Collinsville.
Oh, it's at Collinsville.
It's at
Okay.
Collinsville.
Them calls come from North
Okay.
Sand Mountain.
So yeah, this will be an interesting game. This will definitely be Collinsville, Coach Whittingham's toughest opponent to date, without
Oh,
question.
for
It's going to be
Without
this
For
one.
sure, yeah.
We're going to know a lot about both teams probably won't take long either. Right then, that first half's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it was 15-12 last year overtime.
Golly, man!
Yeah.
And now these teams are both scoring like insane amount of points.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I may check that one out on my way home from section. So let's move on to another familiar opponent with these two guys right here, which would be Ohatchee. Ohatchee is playing. Would you played Ohatchee in the third round?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
At 5. And you guys actually had. Were you out?
No, I played.
No,
Anderson.
Anderson was out.
Anderson was out.
Cage Cochran was out too.
Yeah.
Cage. Okay. All right. So you had those two guys out completely in that game, correct? And then played White Plains. They're playing Woodland this week. So Woodland's 0-2. Ohatchee's 1-0. Well, I mean, Jamboree, I think they tied with Piedmont 7-7, but that didn't really count. But they beat White Plains, the F&N Team of the Year, 55-18 last week. And then this week, they're playing Woodland. They run the identical offense to you guys, correct?
Yes, correct.
So Coach Martin and Coach Benefield, very similar styles, very different coaching philosophies. We've gotten to know both coaches over the years. Talk about that offense in general. I mean, from your perspective, what kind of pressure does that offense put on a defense?
If you don't have linebackers that can fill the hole, it's over. It's over with.
It's over with.
And people think you're going to run a 6-2 or 6-3 and throw 6 people in line and then blitz linebackers. That's putting 9 people on the line. You're going to block down, and
If you get that crease,
it's over. It's
Yeah.
over. It's a touchdown every time. You're going to have a safety tackling a
But-
230-pound Payton Anderson. That's not going to work out very well.
But
true.
along with that, okay, if you have a linebacker that can fill a gap or whatever, that's good. But every play looks the exact same.
You don't know where it's
So
going.
if you're planning on reading what we're doing, if you read a play and you make a tackle, good, because we're going to run it exactly the same, but it's going to be a completely different play. The ball's going to be going the other way, and you'll never know where it's at.
You think you're going to stop? You start stopping the powers. You're going to have a rockets and counters and
Yep.
traps, and it's just
Everything you do, we can counter with something else. It looks the same.
I love it.
It's nasty. It's,
I know
it's,
the
it's,
I know
the
this
nasty,
cheating.
the nasty offense.
I noticed a little play action, and went up top, and the referee made a great play on the ball last week.
Tyler Manchin said after the game that was the hardest hit he's ever took.
Oh, it was a blind side.
Man, I hate to say
Yeah.
it, but I don't think he'd caught the ball if he wouldn't been.
I don't know. It's
I don't think
a hit or miss right there.
I don't know, man. That would have been that was his moment to shine.
It was.
That referee, man, he was head hunting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was.
But
The referee will stop by.
Oh yeah.
The referee come head
that,
hunting.
that play action that kills everybody. You start bringing your safeties up to start the power, and you don't have anybody over the middle. It's touch. It's
That's
just you can't
How I
stop.
scored against Laverne in the
Yeah,
state
it's-
game.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody was even around me because they was looking
Play
for the
action.
power.
You was down there by yourself on the
Exactly.
corner route. So, in Ohatchee's case, though, it's Dominic Thomas running the ball. He's
He's a great running back.
a great running back. He's maybe not as powerful as Payton, but he's definitely shifty.
A lot more shifty.
And he's definitely like a lower projector
Center
to
of
the ground.
gravity,
Yeah,
right.
he,
Yeah,
he,
you got to aim for the knees of that dude.
he runs.
He's legit.
He runs hard. He runs behind his pads. He's a load to bring down. Reggie, you've seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
Talk about his running style. What you've seen from him.
Just like you guys said, he's shifty. There's that one play on that interview we did with him on his highlights where he was going in one direction on that punt return, and then he just
That he's 180.
Yeah, he did 180, and he was gone. Yeah, he's definitely a power back. I mean, he's great.
At student wise, he's getting recruited by anybody from. He's had looks and talks with Georgia all the way to Yale
Yeah.
because his grades. He's made like a 30 something on his ACT.
Yeah.
A la man over here, what, a 31 on your ACT?
Yes, sir.
31 on his ACT as a sophomore. You did that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. I mean, I was like a 33 if I took it 6 times. And you added them all up. No, but I mean, that's impressive from Dominic's standpoint. Quarterback, they're still rotating, moving around quarterbacks right now until they find their guy. Going to be an interesting game. Woodland, again, another 0-2 team trying to get off the snide, I guess, a little bit. And Ohatchee's really not the team to do that with. It's going to be very tough for them moving forward.
Yeah, it is.
All right, we're going to move on to the next game. So our next game is going to bring us to Southside versus Sardis. Two teams that haven't gotten their first win this year, but two very scrappy teams. Again, Southside's two very hard games out of the gate.
Yeah, they have.
I mean they played some competition right out of the gate, being Lincoln and obviously on the road at Hokes Bluff. That's two very tough teams. And Sardis actually dropped one to Sylvania last week, like 21-12 in a tough game.
It was pretty close. I think Sardis, not Sardis, but Sylvania scored a touchdown late in the game to kind of make that gap what it was.
All right, from Southside's perspective, David, talk about what they can do to get going offensively, because that seems to be their defense has been in there. Offensively, they got to get things going.
Yeah, and the thing I saw Thursday night in Hokes Bluff is that the quarterback can make every throw he wants to make. The kid's got an arm for days. He was fitting the ball in tight spaces. Even the deep ball, he had a good deep ball throwing deep. Had a couple of drops that hurt him the other night, but I think as they get rolling, they'll get those receivers going, and they're multiple in their offense. So it's kind of hard to adjust to what they're doing a lot of times. So I think, that the running game, a lot of running games aren't going to work against Hokes Bluff. They struggled with that the other night, but as they get that going, and you have to respect the arm of the kid, the quarterback, it's going to be tough to defend as the year goes along. And Sardis may be a little bit more friendly of a matchup for them. Not saying that means it's an easy matchup, but it may be a better matchup for Southside's offense.
I agree. Defensively, though, talk about Chance Moon and company.
Wow.
And Colton Morrison, another hard-fought game.
That Southside defense, I can't say enough about them. That score last week just don't reflect how well those guys played.
They were on the field a lot.
They were on the field a lot. And, Chance Moon made some really good hits against Darien throughout the game.
Good little rivalry right there.
Yeah. It was a friendly rivalry.
Then turned around and took a picture together.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It's on our should be on our Facebook page.
It is, yeah.
So, I can't say enough about the Southside defense, and I think as the year goes along, I think they were just slow out the gate as a team, and they're gonna probably do what they did last year. About that third or fourth game, they're gonna get rolling
Start
pretty
clicking.
good. Yeah.
Sardis will be scrappy again. They lost a lot offensively. I know that.
They did.
A lot of their receivers and their quarterback too, I believe, is gone off this year's team. They lost. What is his name? I can't remember. His
It was the Aldridge kid,
They got the tight end back.
which is Hopper.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's the one
he's
that's getting
back.
recruited. They lost. I know two of the receivers that started. I'll think of his name as soon as we go off the air. His dad was a teacher at Sardis for years, or his granddad was for years and years. Just a really good athlete. But they're man, offensively, this is not the team you want to face to get going offensively.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game. Where is that game? Is it at?
It's at Southside.
It is at Southside.
It's at Southside.
Yeah, that's gonna be a very tough game. I want to move over and talk about Westbrook and Vincent right now. Two undefeated teams. Vincent won 32-21 over Falkville last week. Westbrook with another blowout. This one 47-16 over Raglan. Westbrook surprising some folks. And Jay, you went to see them week one at when they played Coosa. Talk about what you've seen from Westbrook that night.
I've seen
Minus Brody Kroll throwing him the sideline.
I've seen a lot of positives from him. I know Coach Knowles. Coach Knowles used to coach us back in the day. Real good coach, real good man. Know his son Will Knowles.
He's starting quarterback now, right?
Yeah, he's a starting quarterback. Westbrook, what I've seen, they've got some real nice size, really good size. Pretty big on the O line. They got a really good linebacker. I'm not familiar with his name. Or 20. Yeah, when I seen him play against Coosa, he was on about 95% of the tackles that were on the field. I mean, he was everywhere. And then they also have another athlete. He plays corner and running back. He's number 6. I'm also not familiar with his name.
I think he's only in 9th grade as well, they said.
He's a freshman?
I think so.
Okay, and he looked good as well.
You know what?
He ran hard.
Yeah, he ran hard and he played good on defense. And plus, my cousin, John Reese Blue.
He's their breakout player. He's
their
supposed to be their
breakout
stud, but ain't nobody got in the second level for him to hit yet.
Yeah, it's like they go the opposite way instead of coming to him. But Westbrook looks good. They got the size to compete, and they're 2-0. They're off to a good start. I don't know what Vincent looks like. The weather I want to know. I'm sitting right there, but
I don't know much about Vincent, but I know they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And then, also for a 2A school, Westbrook, they dress quite a few players
Yeah.
for a 2A school. I think they're
Yeah.
dressing over 50 players.
So, Dave, what did you see from Westbrook defensively that stuck out to you when they played Coosa? Because I I ain't gonna say shut down, but they contain some very talented guys that you coached.
Yeah, well, and Coosa has athletes all over the field, so to be able to keep them in a box and to be able to contain them, and like you said, they didn't necessarily contain them; they got their yardage, but that to be able to put guys out there that can keep them in a box is impressive. And once the key when you're facing something like that is they're going to get there. You just want to keep them from breaking out, and for the most part, they were able to do that. And they're more than likely, in 2A, a lot of times you're not going to see athletes like that the rest of the year. So when you escape through there and you're able to do that going through the year, that just gives you a lot of motivation, a lot of self-confidence as you're building upon that. And as we said, you got Baloo on the back end back there that looks like he's a ball player if they ever get to him. And if they can continue to hold the defensive line, the linebackers like these guys said about Fyffe earlier, those linebackers filling gaps is what they're doing. They're stepping up and filling gaps. And when you're not letting anything out and you're stringing it out to the outside, it's hard to get yardage that way. So Westbrook is very sound on defense, and as Jay said, Coach Knowles knows what he's doing out there. He's going to have those boys ready to play.
I agree with you 100%. Like I said, I don't know much about Vincent. Vincent may be pretty good. I mean, it'd be Faulkner's usually pretty decent, but I mean that's going to be an interesting game. Now, not looking to have Vincent by no means, but when Westbrook and Ohatchee hooks up, that's going to be the game of games in this area as far as down in this region of 2A. All right, so now I want to touch on one other game before we shut this down. Massive game that happened at Benjamin Russell last week. They were announcing the stadium name to a coach, and Sardis was
two coaches.
Sardis was a coach / athletic director or something like that.
Yeah, and the guy that succeeded him was Willie Carr Martin, and he won Benjamin Russell's only state championship in 2001.
So the funny, unique thing about that is Danny Horn had several great teams when he left Clay. And went down to coach Benjamin Russell. He had several great teams that made several deep playoff runs. Didn't ever win the state there, but he had 6 rings prior when he was at Clay County. So then he comes back and takes the job at Central Clay and wins the 5A state championship last year at Central Clay. So you don't want to talk about spoiler. Talk about the stage that was set and what happened.
Well,
Friday night at Benjamin Russell.
When I heard earlier this summer that Benjamin Russell was going to rename the stadium after Steve Sardis and Willie Carr Martin, and when I realized who they were playing in the game that they were doing that with, and I was like, well, this sounds like this could be a bad night for Benjamin Russell.
Classic spoiler.
Yeah, and to me, I felt like it was a slap in the face to Coach Horn. For what he did at that school, there were several other games they could have did that at, but Coach Horn said, "Well, since y'all are going to do this night, this is what my team's going to come out and do." And Danny Horn was going for his 300th victory. Yep. So he's on the road. They're announcing the stadium name under somebody else's name. 2 people who coached prior to him, and then he's going for his 300th win. What do you think happened, folks? Danny Horn did what Danny Horn does. He come down there and blew the game wide open. It's 38-14 final, but it was never close. Never close. Our very own Joshua Abercrombie went to the game, took a very cool video that we do have the link up for, that you can see on Average Joe Sports Tunnel. Got to talk with Danny Horn. Josh said, I believe they were up 28 or something like that. They were up 21-0 at one point in the first half. Josh was sending me the score update. So. And Josh went into the locker room. He said, you would have swore they were down 21. He said Danny Horn was going in about not letting off the throttle. He's like, he said, we let off of them last year. They don't come out and beat us. That's not happening this year. Coaching like his hair was on fire. I don't blame him. Danny Horn, state title wise, winningest coach in the state ever, along with Josh Niblett with 7 rings. You got 7 rings on your. I mean, you filling up more than one hand. You're doing something right. I mean. Congratulations to Coach Horn, And nothing against Benjamin Russell. I mean, me personally, I would have picked another night to dedicate the stadium to somebody. Definitely. I'm just saying from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't do it when my last coach comes back to town. Yeah, coming in from winning a state championship. Yeah, he's coming off winning a state championship. Because things like this tend to happen when things like that happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. I remember when they announced Bobby Bowden Day Stadium or field or whatever, and Ron Zook, of all people,
took Florida over there and beat them. And I was a happy gator that night. Let me tell you. I'll leave it at that. No more. I ain't telling you the rest of the story. Well, we're going to shut this down, guys. Thank you guys, Fyffe guys, for coming in. We're out.